Welcome to the Miami Condo Minute. I'm Peter Zalewski. I'm a condo consultant. I'm also the founder of the Miami Condo Investing Club. Check out the website, miamicondo.club. If you give me a minute, I'll give you some valuable information about the South Florida condo market. What are we talking about today? We're talking about Liberation Day. We're talking about President Donald Trump's announcement of tariffs being applied to all countries that send product to the United States and what it means for the South Florida condo market. Keep in mind, not only does South Florida sell units to buyers from abroad, but also materials and supplies are imported in order to construct these towers, these glass towers that dot the coast of South Florida as well as the state of Florida. Before we delve into what Liberation Day means for the South Florida condo market, let's first understand what President Trump has put into place. Basically, across the board, 10% tariffs on anything being brought into the United States. Certain countries, which I guess are a little bit more stringent on what they allow to enter into their countries from the United States, are going to be looking at even higher tariffs. What are some of the amounts that we're looking at percentage-wise? China, 34%. Anything being brought in from China is effectively as of April the 5th, which is Saturday, about 3 days from now. They're going to be facing 34% tariffs as a ceiling, meaning this is the worst case scenario. If the Chinese government or any government that I mention hereafter is able to negotiate with the United States, the figure could be less. But right now, worst case scenario, anything imported from China, 34%. European Union, 20%. India, 26%. And Israel, 17%. United Kingdom, for what it's worth, 10%, which is the norm. Remember, 10% tariffs on anything being brought in the United States from this day going forward unless something changes. And we know how rapidly things change related to tariffs with this current presidential administration. What does it look like for countries in the Americas, excluding Canada and Mexico? No figures were announced at this point related to Mexico and Canada. Everything that I've read and reports that I'm listening to say that the terms are still being negotiated. Let's talk about some of the other countries in the Americas that the United States trades with. Argentina, 10%. Brazil, 10%. Colombia, 10%. Dominican Republic, the DR, 10%. Ecuador, 10%, El Salvador, 10%, Guatemala, 10%, Honduras, 10%, Peru, 10%, and Trinidad and Tobago, 10%. These are the countries that were actually named during President Trump's address in the Rose Garden of the White House in Washington, D.C. President Trump made the announcement right after the stock market closed, trying not to impact today's trading. What I can tell you, though, is futures markets shortly after the announcements were made. The Dow Jones tumbled about 1,100 points, somewhere in the ballpark of more than 2%. If you looked at the S&P 500, it tumbled about 3%. NASDAQ was down somewhere in the 3% range. That was the immediate reaction. We'll have to see how the market opens on Thursday. So the Miami Condo Minute deals with condos. What do these tariffs have to do with the condo market in South